What is up, freak bitches, wherever you may be, however you may be watching? Thank you for giving us just a little bit of your time. So sorry for the late start. Had a strange technical malfunction that did not go well. Me and YouTube did not get off to a good start for the show, but we're here, and we have plenty to talk about. Here to talk about all this cool stuff with me is both of my good friends, the Dowager Countess Lady Cora. How are you doing tonight, ma'am?
I'm fantastic. Life is good. So
you may hear a bit of a scratchy voice. She's fighting a bit of a thing, but it's winter and everybody gets sick during the winter, and so we're going to try to take it easy on Cora and not have her carry the show like she normally does on most nights. But we do have somebody else here, and you'll hear another disembodied voice, and that will be my hetero life mate Jeremy. What's going on with you, my brother?
I don't know why I got to be also disemboweled, or whatever the fuck you just called my voice.
Disembodied.
I thought you were saying I was talking shit.
No, disembodied voice.
oh boy, Jeremy.
I make jokes. So.
It's okay. You have Buttercup with you, so you have better energy tonight.
Buttercup is absolutely asleep, and she just her eyes flickered open because I said her name, but now she's real passed out over there. Yep, doing fantastic. Being in all this goddamn snow and all this ice, so that's why you don't get to. Actually, fortunately, that's why you don't have to see my face. So,
hi, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Hello to everybody in the chat. So far, it's Cora, Rachel, and me on one of my backup accounts. More people will be coming in shortly. We've got 7 people going right now, so even though they're not active in the chat, they're watching. Thank you guys very much. Real quick thing that I wanted to mention to Cora last week. I wanted to save her for when she was on here. Cora and I, as you know, are big Downton Abbey fans, and some of you may know Downton Abbey has moved again. From March 18th to April 29th in the UK and May 20th in the US, so about 2 months. There's still no plot details on the film, but Cora, this is a good thing for us because I know you were busy working and stuff like that. We hadn't gotten around to doing some of the season breakdown stuff that we wanted to do leading up to this release. So pushing it back a couple of months actually gives us a little more time to make sure we're doing things right. So
agreed.
Cora and I will be getting together to do some of the series by series breakdowns. In the UK, they're called series, not seasons. But we will be able to get together and do that and not have to feel so rushed.
I will cry when we talk about the car accident. There's a
whole lot of stuff. There's a whole lot of stuff to go into.
And
it's the one soap opera thing in my life that I've ever gotten into, and it has to do with my weird fascination with British aristocracy. But
I love that I get to share it with you, my friend.
But we're gonna start doing those. Me and Cora will figure out our schedules, get together here in the next week or so and start recording those. They are going to be pre-recorded. They're probably not going to be live, and we'll release them kind of as lead up to May 20th now in the U.S. to the release of the next film, Downton Abbey: A New Era. So keep an eye out for stuff like that. We'll break down the seasons, then we'll do like a review of the first Downton Abbey movie, and then we'll obviously get together and review Downton Abbey: A New Era when it comes out. But so that's a little thing I meant to get to Cora last week, but Dan was feeling under the weather last week. How is Dan, by the way? Is he feeling good?
Yeah, he's better.
Good.
I got it from him.
So he listened to you. He stayed in bed. He ate his chicken soup.
No.
No, he didn't do
it. I hear that shit's good for the soul.
He didn't do any of that, she says. She's like, no.
Oh.
But there is plenty to talk about in the world of entertainment and everything today. And Lady Cora, what is our first topic today?
Well, tonight our first topic is in Jeremy's arena with his love of horror. The first trailer for Netflix Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released on Tuesday. Just like the approach from the Halloween. What? Already you're being Eeyore? Come the fuck on.
No, I was just like, it's funny because it's on Tuesday, and I ha every time I hear it. Sorry. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. I find it funny.
It's okay. Just like the approach that Halloween took, the story will see the final girl from the original 1974 film, but not really. Sally Hardsteve returned to fight the killer Leatherface. Olwen, I'm going to say this terribly wrong, Foire, acts as a recast to Sally following the passing of the original actress, Marilyn Burns, in 2014. It is the first film since the original to feature Sally as a focal point, with her having a 5-decade-long vendetta against Leatherface. Jeremy, what do you think of the new trailer?
Well, it's definitely a step up from the first one, which is just kind of vague. I mean, no vague in a sense. It just kind of told us what it was doing, but it didn't really give us a whole lot. Um, yeah, I mean, I almost feel like now, I mean, given that, like I've mentioned I say fellow YouTuber because I'm not, we're not even on the same pedestal, but I like to believe we're all here together. From the Dead Meat podcast, James and Chelsea. And Chelsea's favorite horror movie is Texas Chainsaw. And, you know, that James has mentioned, like, this series is almost second in comparison to a clusterfuck of continuity to Halloween. I'm like, are we just in a competition now? Are they just trying to one up Halloween and be even more fucky with their like? Are we really doing this? That aside, because I'm like, I guess we already didn't have a direct sequel to the original, but whatever, we're directly sequeling it again. However, the trailer looks pretty fucking cool because there's something really, to me, there's something weirdly visceral about like the first shot in the cornfield. I mean, it's like bright daylight out. It's like this harsh sunlight out, and then you just see him just pop out of the fucking like a goddamn pop up book, and I'm like, whoa! But it just throws you the fuck off. And you think horror movie, you think dark atmosphere, there's someone in the darkness, or there's some shadow and you can't see shit. But I'm like, if that's a nod to the original, because like one of the coolest fucking shots in a movie with cool scenes is the original movie, right at its peak. Like you're at the fever pitch of this movie. Sally's getting away. Obviously, Leatherface can't chase a fucking truck. And that shot, that from the side with that real harsh sunset going down, and him just swinging that fucking saw around, it cuts straight to black. Leaves your jaw on the floor, and I'm like, if that's what that kind of mirrors to me, it just looks really cool. Just kind of seeing him there, just I was gonna say, not sun's out, chainsaws out, so the guns out.
Are you ready for me to burst your bubble, Jeremy?
I was already bursted. I thought it was Marilyn Burns, and I was like, wait, I didn't know if like, wait, was she already passed away? Because like that's kind of cool if that is her, but that already burst my bubble. So I mean, go ahead.
Ask me how many of the movies in this series I've seen.
Well, let me counter rebuttal with that, and I'll tell you how many actually fucking matter. It's just the first one. So, right? See, to be honest, like that, if you haven't,
I've seen none ever.
I mean,
well, you're not a big horror fan, so that's not entirely shocking.
He just wanted to be a brat and,
no, that's
do his classic what? But I'm
well,
not
that's the thing, though.
Evidently.
On this one, I'll give you a pass on them because I have seen them all. I've seen them all once to say I did, but I mean, I guess now to the fact that it doesn't matter anymore. But I'm like, really, you're not missing a whole lot. It's not really worth just the first one. If anything, at least just watch the first one because I mean, I guess continuity wise, that's the only thing that's going to make sense now. But my mom's not either, but I've gotten her into watching some horror movies and stuff like Walking Dead, which I know isn't really a horror movie, but it's got the you turn around and see a walker getting her head smashed open. It's like, whoa.
I've always thought it was more of a horror soap opera. That was one of the first shows that kind of combined those two genres.
I can believe that. That's a good way to put it. But I'm like, she's not really into that stuff either. And I'm like, I got her into watching stuff like that. And I keep telling her, I'm like, I'll tell you the same thing, Cora. I'm like, really? This movie isn't as bad as you think it is? I mean, even especially by today's standards, it's pretty tame.
Oh, yeah.
I know in the early 70s, that was, I mean, because it was banned for so fucking long in so many countries, because it was like, holy shit. I'm like, you don't see anyone actually die by a chainsaw. I think really the closest thing is the only one you see is, the guy in the wheelchair. Well, you don't even really see it.
Yeah, that's the most like, definitely like visual kill. But you got to remember how special effects were done back then. A lot of it was you're kind of looking at it from the killer's perspective. You see blood flying everywhere, but you don't necessarily see the blade or whatever impaling the body. That's something that kind of came in the 80s. as
Yeah.
horror got to that point where they needed to make that next evolution, so actually showing people getting stabbed, showing people having these things happen to them. So I think that's one of the things that kind of made
I get that.
The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre so visceral. I mean, it's because that's the great thing about horror is we all have this weird fascination with death and the macabre, even though we don't admit it. It's one of the things that draws people to the horror franchise. You can kind of experience that without actually experiencing it, and it kind of gives us all a chance to face all that. I'm actually totally down with this.
Yeah. Well, that's a fun fact, actually, real quick about that scene where he kills him. What they're doing is, I mean, you don't see it. It's cut together in a way where you know what's going on, but you don't actually see it ever happen. But you know in your mind, you know what's happening. What they did is, like, I mean, you see the blood splattering onto Leatherface there in that scene. And, like, literally, like, the director and, like, I think a producer or somebody are, like, kneeling down off frame on either side of him. They literally put the fake blood in their mouth and they're just spitting it onto him just to get it for that shot. I'm like, do what you got to do, I guess, whatever. And that's what they did, and it worked. You know, shit, we used chocolate syrup for fucking, in Psycho, so go figure. And that's the same thing. You never saw a knife really actually penetrate her body, but you get what was going on. It's the same deal.
Yeah, I saw the trailer and I liked it. And I've seen some people
I
online.
like it.
I saw some people online kind of shitting on it. I'm like, oh, well, they're just doing what Halloween did, just kind of making this a direct sequel to the original. Old lady comes back to fight the bad guy. And I'm like, yeah, but it worked. But
it does work.
The way they put it together, it worked. It works to have Jamie Lee Curtis's character in this position, and it's going to work to have the Sally Hardesty character come back and deal with this again. It makes sense. Now, I mean, yeah.
She was in the other.
Be the last movie though? Or are they gonna like finish this shit?
Well, they were.
I don't know.
if one.
See, that's the problem.
Movie, if they yell "Evil dies tonight," I'm gonna walk out of the theater. I swear to Christ.
Yeah. Well, but that's the thing about this though is It's like whereas Michael Myers has kind of terrorized this whole town for so long, it's like there really is this beef. I mean, considering that all of the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies after the first one don't exist in this one, at least I'm thinking they don't. There's not going to be like this. What I got from the trailer is that the events of the first film happened, and then nobody's heard from Leatherface for 50 years. That's what I'm gathering happened. So it's not like this entire town has been terrorized by this guy. It's just something that happened back in 1974, and then, it traumatized this Sally character, and she's been waiting for all this time for him to show himself again, and he finally shows himself. So it's not. So it's going to be approached a little bit differently. It's not going to be like a carbon copy, shot for shot remake of the Halloween films. I mean, I kind of dig what the Halloween films are doing. It's like they're just working on the very first one that came out in the 70s, and then this one that came out last year is technically part 2.
Just pointless because nothing happened, and now they have to do it again. By the way,
it does seem like a weird. Yeah, there's a big chunk of time where nothing just happens, and all of a sudden it happens again. I'm like, yes.
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
You leave that up to the writing in the movie to explain it, though. There's going to be some dialogue that explains why there's 50 years between that particular incident and Sally having to come back and deal with Leatherface again. So I trust the writing. I trust the writing. I'll get to that in just a second, Seth. I think I'm having a computer thing. I think that's probably why it's not jumping up yet, but I'll get to it. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, I saw the trailer; it looked interesting.
Yeah.
Nightwatch and his crew did a trailer breakdown of it that you guys can go check out. I mean, I agree with a lot of what he said. He seems pretty excited about it, and him, like you, Jeremy, being the horror aficionados. If you guys are kind of excited about it, then I'm excited about it. And look, I've said it 100 times. Of the horror genre, probably my favorite movie has always been the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1974. I think it was one of the best. It was one of the best great horror films it set off. It set us down this path of what horror was for 20 years before it kind of went through that dry spell in the 90s, and then was kicked back up with movies like Scream that tried to do some similar things. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think it looks pretty interesting. But again, it's something about the horror genre that I like. I think it's going to be, if they do what the Halloween movies have done, and I think that Halloween, as much as some of the purists have kind of dumped on the last two movies, I think they've been good. I think they fit right in. last one, yeah, a little wonky spots, but it's supposed to be kind of the lead up to the big thing that's happening in Halloween Ends, whatever comes out next year. So I'm cool with it, and if they want to do something like that with this, I'm fine. What I kind of want to see is like Cora was saying a minute ago, I want this to be the last movie. I don't want a new trilogy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Isn't that what everybody wanted with the last Halloween movie? And now there's going to be another one.
Well, I mean, I think overall,
but it is ending.
Yeah, it is ending. There is a plan for the finale of this entire storyline, which I think a lot of people hold on to. But I like what they've done with it. I don't know. Maybe the way they write it and the story. Look, we don't know anything about the story yet. We don't know anything about anything other than just that it's happening. We've seen one trailer. So maybe after we get done seeing this movie, we're going to think to ourselves, okay, the next movie is going to be dope too. Maybe. I don't know. But I kind of just want to see things end right here. Because let's face it, I mean, the Sally character, in 1974, the Sally character was, 19, 20 years old?
Yeah.
So now
she's also she's the original final girl, really. I mean, I know we all give Jamie Lee Curtis some credit, but I'm like, actually, Sally Hardesty is the OG final girl.
She is the first final girl in a horror movie, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, she may be the screen queen, but that's the final girl right there. I'm telling you what.
Yeah, but what worries me is they seem to be getting away with it a little bit in Jamie Lee Curtis's, area of her having to fight this giant murderous guy. But we'll be talking about that next later. Not.
That's what I want to know about. That's what I want to know about this one, though. The difference is, I'm like, I know it's the same setup as Halloween, in a way, I assume. But I'm like, you can we just kind of passively accept that, Michael's maybe supernatural, sort of, yeah. I'm like, sure, whatever. I mean, I'm like, I don't know how some 60-plus-year-old man is going to go around fucking stabbing people in the fucking throat.
But that's
as cool as it is.
Yeah, that's one of the
things
with
Leatherface is, I'm like, he's not that way. Leatherface is just a dude. I'm like, he is 60 and going to swing around this chainsaw like shit.
Yeah, that's
Marilyn Burns was probably a teen.
Well, yeah, Meredith Burns died in 2014. She was 64, I think, when she died, or 65. Still fairly young, but I mean, if you bring that out, I mean, let's say that her character is the same age as her today. I mean, that would put another old lady in their 70s fighting against a maniacal murderer with apparently a lot of strength and wielding a chainsaw. I don't know too many.
Let's not tell Casey she is to predict his death.
Yeah, I don't know too many 70-year-old women that would be able to go toe-to-toe with a chain-saw-wielding madman who's apparently really strong and would survive. So, and there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief to movies, and I understand that. I mean, because I experienced this with the recent Halloween films. I mean, we've got 70-something-year-old Jamie Lee Curtis's character going out there and fighting the big, tall, crazy man with a knife. But whatever. But if you're going to do this, I kind of just want this to be the last movie. Let's just go ahead and sum all this up and be done with it. But
this is also, we tried to, what was it with Texas Chainsaw 3D, which was the original sequel to the original?
Yes.
That makes sense? You're not going to sit there and tell me that 20-something Alexandra Daddario is supposed to be in her fucking 40s. Fucking shoot yourself.
True.
Come on, guys. I'm like, they're suggesting she was a baby when the events of the first movie happened, and oh yeah, cut to present day, and she looks like this. I'm like, no, the fuck she does not. Shut up. I'm all for the fact that the 70s joke. She's definitely not wearing a bra the entire movie, and power of double-sided tape for when her shirt has to obligatorily pop open.
Jeremy.
And I'm like, oh, cool.
Oh,
look,
boy.
I didn't write the movie. What are you boy me for? I know what they were about. They knew what they were about.
No,
I'm just saying. I was like, sure, but that's the thing. He is just a dude. I don't know if being a cannibal gives him. Is it like Scott Pilgrim? Being vegan just makes you better than everyone else. I'm like, well, does being a cannibal make you stronger than everybody else? I don't know. Make you immortal? Is that the secret to eating humans? Soylent Green? I don't know. Fuck. But fun. I'm here for it.
Well, are you ready for me to answer Sis' prediction? Or did you want to do the donation first?
I actually, give me just a second on the donation. I'm still trying to open Stream Elements. Like I said, my computer's acting really weird right now.
Well, then I'll read
Windows
the
11. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next subject.
Okay.
Next
All
series,
right.
since we're here.
So, I'm going to start out with saying this movie came out in the heyday of me being in high school. I was a freshman in high school. All my friends and I went and saw this and were obsessed with this movie. We were all that girl in the movie. So, here we go. Paramount and Spyglass are headed back to Woodsboro. Sixth installment of the Scream franchise has been greenlit with the creative team from the successful 2022 film Back in Action. The latest Scream successfully relaunched the franchise when it opened in January. To date, it has earned $62.6 million domestically and has combined global haul of $106.7 million. A strong showing amid theatrical challenges posed by the ongoing pandemic. It brought audiences back to Woodsboro, where a new killer wearing a ghost face mask stalked a group of young friends. And let me tell you, I babysat when this shit was going on. It made me close the blinds. It made me be more
would you
careful.
would you rather that or be babysitting in the late 70s like, Jamie Lee Curtis was doing?
I guess.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So, bring on another, I suppose.
Yeah, apparently.
Cash cow is all I think.
I don't know.
Because they
Again,
just want money.
Jeremy, you're the horror expert. What do you think?
I mean, I guess piggybacking off of what we just said, like, yeah, it's nice to go back. It's kind of cool to, have, like, I don't mind, well, to a degree. I'm not going to mention Skyrim or GTA, but I mean, I don't mind, like, a remastered game. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, this is cool. It's fun to see it now, and it's kind of updated and all nice, shiny, and polished. Or if it's kind of like a continuation. It's nice to go back, but I'm like, but do we have to keep going back? I mean, how many times are we, like you said, how many times are we going to do this? It's fun, and it's kind of fun to have, characters that you know and love. But I don't know, what are we going to do now? I know the write-off is that it's meta and self-aware, and you can just probably have another scene railing off about reboots and the rules of that, or whatever the fuck we're talking about anymore. But I'm like, but does it really start to excuse the movie for the fact that it exists anymore? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, like, I was kind of hoping, and I said this when we talked about it, I was kind of hoping that this franchise was going to end with this last film. It seemed like a decent enough ending. You made a movie that was on par with the first one, which was the only real good one in the series, in my opinion. The rest of them all just increasingly got more and more silly. But I mean, it's Hollywood. They're going to make money.
That's horror in a nutshell.
Yeah, and to be absolutely honest, I mean, if a lot of people might be looking at it and saying, well, it didn't really make a lot of money. Well, it didn't cost a lot of money to make. This movie didn't have to make $1 billion at the box office to be financially successful. I mean, it was being made, it was being approached as kind of an independent film. So, I mean, it didn't have to make a lot of money. And if you step back and look at it from a bigger perspective, a couple of years from now, when hopefully we'll be done with the pandemic thing, theaters will be wide open, the casual movie fans will be more willing to go to the theaters, you're actually going to see a significant raise in what the box office is going to be for this movie compared to the last one. So, it makes sense. I mean, personally, I'm like, where do you really go with it? It's like, yeah, you brought in who's going to be the killers now? Like I said, one of my big problems with this most recent film that came out is that I just wasn't really invested in the killers. I just didn't care. I mean, I knew they were there and I knew that they were hacking people up, but it's like the reveal. I was like, meh. Like I said, I saw the guy coming from a mile away. It's just too easy.
Yeah, I saw her coming.
How do you defeat that problem? Of the killers being, I mean, yeah, there's always two, and both of them are always obvious to somebody. So it's like, how do you fight that problem? And because that's the problem that these movies have always kind of faced, is the killers, the reveals have always been kind of dull to me. I mean, because even when Scream first came out in 96, it's like the boyfriend being the killer was a pretty common horror trope. So it wasn't like you were taken aback, like, oh my god. It's Stu and what's his name, and Billy. It's Stu and Billy. Oh my god! You kind of looked at that and you were like, yeah, that's kind of how horror goes. So,
but see, that's what I was saying. Isn't that the point? That's the joke that is how that works, because they're like, that's how a horror movie works.
Yeah, but I feel like you have to walk away from that joke to really amaze anybody anymore. It's like, that's why, because I was in somebody else's chat, I think it may have been Nightwatches actually, saying about how I thought it would be cool if Sydney's mother was the killer. And then everybody's like, oh, well, Sydney's mother's dead, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, but everybody's talking about Stu coming back, and he's dead, as far as anybody knows. I was like, so... Well, and it's a horror movie.
He did his little...
It's a movie. Have fun with it. Who cares? That would have been a bigger shock to me than either of the two killers that we actually got.
Yeah.
I mean, but whatever. I mean... Look, it's going to make money as long as they keep... I mean, because the budget on that was only... I didn't get a look at what the budget was. I think the budget on that was only like 8 or 10 million. I mean, that's bus fare in Hollywood these days. And it made 106.7 million worldwide. I mean, that's profitable. And and look, and the stars aren't... I mean, look, the only people you're really paying to come back at this point are Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell. It's like, so...
Yeah.
And even if they take a chunk of change, the rest of these people just get a bunch of kids that are going to be, working at scale, which is like minimum wage for actors. And, it's whatever. I mean, you're going to make this movie for a little bit of money. It's got a big fan base that's going to go see it. And you're going to make a good bit of money, and whatever. It's going to feed your other projects that you might want to do. So, I don't know. It makes sense. Me personally, from a story's perspective, though, this movie is going to have to really dazzle me. Because I don't want the same old shit from this franchise. Like I said, the first movie I thought was okay, and everything after that just got increasingly more ridiculous. I had trouble with it, but
maybe we'll see a Force Ghost of Dewey like we did with Stu.
Ooh, we could. That'd be kind of awesome.
Or Billy, not Stu. Sorry.
Yeah. Or hell, I don't give a child shit. Maybe, he had that nobody knew about.
Maybe.
I did that already.
You could just have Matthew Lillard come back as a fucking ghost too. I don't give a shit. Why not?
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'll go see it because I'm a movie guy. That's what I'm gonna do. But for the most part, I'm not overly anxious. I don't know. Maybe the movie will blow me away. Like I said, I wasn't particularly fond of the idea of this last movie, but I found it enjoyable for the most part. I mean, I kind of went in with low expectations, so I mean, the good stuff that it did give me really stood out, and the crappy stuff that I figured it was probably going to give me it was what it was. So I mean, whatever. I don't know. Scream 6. Why not? Because we make movies in Hollywood. That's what we do. So whatever. But before we go too much further, do a little bit of house cleaning stuff, if my computer wants to work with me today. I want to remind you guys, we do have a Patreon, and actually next week we're going to be giving away $25 in free movie tickets every month. I'm going to try to make it the second show in the month now. I've been having trouble trying to schedule this in to where it works out for all the ways I need it to work out, but I'll work it out. We're going to give away $25 next month for free movie tickets, and all you have to do to get yourself entered for that is just go support us on Patreon for $5 a month. And again, this is not to help put money into the movie production company's pockets. This is really to go help the people who worked at the theaters. The theaters were really, really hurt badly by the pandemic the last couple of years, and a lot of the college-age kids and young kids that were working there got really messed up, and we want to get back out to the theaters and support them. Spider-Man's getting ready to break a different record every day, it seems, at this point. They're actually talking about challenging Avatar now. So, obviously, people are feeling more and more comfortable. Let's get out there. Let's go to the theaters and support all the people that work there. And you get a chance to get $25 a month to go see free movies. So, go support us on Patreon for $5 a month if you would like. Hey, Lady Cora, what is the next topic we're talking about today?
Next topic is one near and dear to my heart because I met He-Man and She-Ra when I was a wee little thing at Knott's Berry Farm, and let me tell you, I still remember how giddy I was that I got to meet them and get my picture taken with them. The long-awaited live-action Masters of the Universe movie from Mattel Films has landed at Netflix with West Side Story actor Kyle Allen set to play the hero He-Man. The live-action feature, which is eyeing a summer 2022 start date, will be directed by the Nee brothers of the upcoming The Lost City. From a screenplay they wrote with Shang-Chi scribe David Callahan. Frank, what do you think of He-Man live-action film?
Before I get into my thoughts on that, I do want to thank Sith Negan for dropping another bomb on us. I have no idea why neither my Stream Elements feed or or my OBS is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I apologize for that, but thank you, Sith, for being a supporter of the channel, like always. I can't bring up exactly what what the text and everything was, so feel free to put it in the chat so everybody can see it. Thanks again, Sith, for being such a great supporter. I'm excited. I'm excited as hell. I mean, let me get to my notes here that I haven't had a chance to get to yet. This is a really look. I'm not much into the sword and shield stuff, as many of you know, but as a child who grew up playing with He-Man and stuff like that, watching the cartoons, this has always been something that I really liked, and I have really enjoyed the Masters of the Universe stuff that's been on Netflix lately, like the Kevin Smith thing, He-Man, Masters of the Universe.
You know, I didn't know about that till I read the article you sent, and I saw the names. I'm like, I'm going to go back and watch that shit because I didn't even know it existed.
I haven't seen the second part of it yet. It came out in 2 parts. I watched the first part.
Okay.
And the first part caught a lot of shit because He-Man is killed. Spoiler alert. It's you have to watch it all. You have to watch it all. It makes perfect sense.
Just kidding,
But I mean, everything that happens, it was really interesting to. It really did a lot to kind of expand the world a little bit. And I thought it was fun. And things happen the way they happen at the end, and that was part 1. And part 2 has come out on Netflix. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but I will eventually. But I mean, look, you can't go wrong. This movie, The Lost City, is actually getting a lot of decent buzz, and it's going to be directed by the people that did that. Lost City is this thing starring Daniel Radcliffe, Channing Tatum, and what's her name, Sandra Bullock. It's kind of a rom-com, kind of like a Romancing the Stone kind of thing. For those of you who are as old as I am and remember that movie, it's going to look like that. But then you get one of the writers of Shang-Chi, which was a fantastic movie. I mean, it's one of the best movies that the Marvel's done, in my opinion. To come in and write it and get it together. Look, I'm into it. And look, I lived through the 1987 live action film that I think somebody just mentioned. Yeah, Corey Warburg just mentioned it in the chat. The 1987 film with Dolph Lundgren. And while it's campy and terrible, it's still fun to watch, even though it's
lovable because it's He-Man, though.
Well, it tweaks a lot of some of the characters were kind of created for the movie. It didn't really work for me. But I mean, it's campy and terrible. It's fun to go back and laugh at more than anything else. But yeah, I'm interested. I mean, again, this is another really wide open world that you can have.
I want to know who's going to play Skeletor.
We'll find out. I mean,
Skeletor is like a key character, you know.
We'll find out.
Gotta get that right.
Jeremy, what do you think of the idea of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe?
Have you even seen the original He-Man, Jeremy?
Oh, just because I wasn't fucking alive for it doesn't mean I haven't seen it.
Does that mean you have?
No, I haven't seen it. I know of it, and I'm like,
I fucking knew it.
that doesn't. It's not. He-Man's not one of my biggest things either, so beat me. Like, look, my biggest thing with He-Man is, look, if he does, because I grew up with the internet. If he doesn't sing "What's Up" by Four Non Blondes, I'm not in it. If you know, you know. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh.
Yeah, Sith in the chat said Frank Langella rocked as Skeletor in the 87 live-action movie. You know, I've read about that. He actually really wanted to get a sequel made because he really, really enjoyed being in that movie. He actually did it because his kids were big fans of He-Man and had action figures. But he said I think there's a interview with him somewhere where he said that he really, really liked that movie. He had a lot of fun. It's some of the most fun he's ever had in a movie set, which is cool, considering that the movie has pretty much been shit on ever since it came out in 1987. But I mean, it's not quite. It's not Howard the Duck bad. It's not Howard.
Oh, that movie's terrible.
Yeah,
I will never watch that again in my life.
And on top of that, it was one of the first movies that I can remember watching anyway that had a post-credit scene.
Oh.
There's actually a post-credit scene in that movie.
When did Ferris Bueller came out? Because I had one too.
88. Right around the same time. Yeah, it was right.
Okay, because I'm like, wait a minute, they had that shit too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, but I mean, after all is said and done, after the credits roll, Skeletor pops up out of the water and he says something akin to "I'll be back" or something like that. I forget exactly what it was.
Sid just called it in the chat. What about Colin Farrell as a Skeletor?
You know what? He's looking pretty fucking dope as the Penguin in the Batman. I mean, seriously, I'm not against it. I kind of like the idea of having another Frank Langella type character though, because there's a lot of Shakespearean drama
Just
in
wait.
stuff like this. So having something
Wait,
like
they're
a
gonna
Frank
make it a
Langella or something
chick
like that would be cool.
for the fucking let's make everything progressive shit. They're gonna make it a chick, I bet.
Well, there is She-Ra. She-Ra's out there. She-Ra is He-Man's
Yeah.
cousin.
Ah, but I don't think Skeletor should be a girl. I think Skeletor should be a bad guy.
Well, they have the what's the name of the one chick? Shit.
Well, as if the name of the lead character doesn't already probably piss a feminist off. His name is He-Man. The double negative.
They might change the names.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, there's a.
I know, like if
I
they
know
do
they
neutral
changed.
pronouns, I'm gonna be pissed.
Look, I
have it in
mean,
my notes here.
I know I
Person.
mentioned the
Formerly
President
known as
Loki
He-Man.
thing in
Jesus
the
Christ.
comments. I read the little short series of, like I said, of President Loki, the comic series, and I'm like, oh yeah, and they just casually mentioned that. Oh, it's Thor. It's Loki's sister. What? It's a woman. Okay. I was like, all right, I don't care. Sure. Thor's apparently a woman in this universe where Loki became president.
Although the
I don't know.
actress did a pretty great job, Jeremy, though. She was pretty great.
Yeah, and I'm interested enough to see Kyle Allen in it. I mean, I've seen him in American Horror Story. I watched a couple episodes of The Path, but I couldn't quite get into it. I may try to go back and watch
Is
it
he
again.
good? Because I've never seen anything he's in.
Well, he was just recently in the West Side Story that Spielberg did.
I
I haven't
never
had a
saw
chance to
that.
watch that either. I mean, Jennifer and I.
I was worried it was too SJW, so I didn't even bother.
It didn't do well, but I don't think it's because of stuff like that. I just think maybe musicals aren't really the flavor of the day right now. It's kind of hard to make a musical work these days. But I mean, I've heard some people say it was pretty good, and I'll get a chance to watch it eventually. I've heard that he's good in it. But yeah, he's been in American Horror Story, The Path, and he's in this new coming of age thing coming up called The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, which I don't know anything about. But I know that they've been talking about getting this to a live action thing for a long time, and they had cast some guy, I forget who.
I can tell you.
It
I
made
read
the
articles
rounds
right
because this guy was super scrawny, and they were like, how the hell do you have some... Like, yeah, a super scrawny guy can get in the gym and work out and watch his diet and get pumped up, but they were like, this guy's tiny. He's scrawny. He was small. And so a lot of people...
The Captain America before the experiment, scrawny?
Yeah, like in that range. But unless you're going to load this guy up with gamma radiation and Dr. Erskine's formula, I don't think he was ever going to get to He-Man status. But so the thought was that he was going to play Prince Adam, and that there was going to be some kind of a Hulk-like transformation, and they were going to hire somebody like The Rock or Jason Momoa or some muscle-bound dickhead to go be He-Man after he holds up the sword and does his thing. So, but I'm like, I don't really want that. I kind of like the idea of just having one person playing both Prince Adam and He-Man. But whatever.
Oh, agreed.
I mean, Jeremy, do you even really give a shit if they do Masters of the Universe? I mean, I kind of want them to, but you know.
I mean, and is he gonna throw a sword and be like, I have the power? He's gonna be like this large as shit.
Dude,
I become swole.
I had the Skeletor base when I was a kid. I had Castle Grayskull when I was a kid. I had
all of it too.
Yeah,
I was that girl that played with the boy toys.
I don't know. Like, it took me a little longer to get into. I mean, not that I wouldn't be into it, or just get into stuff like that in general. Like, I mean, yeah, I watched. I know it's not the same thing, but I watched like Lord of the Rings when I was semi-young, but not like an old kid. I don't know. I'm very choosy, so I don't know. Maybe I just haven't really given He-Man a fair shake because, again, all I know of it because memes. Is him singing, like I said, him singing "What's Up" by 4 Non-Blondes. I just can't. That's all I've got. So
that's all I can do for you. That's all I can do.
I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Well, anyway, go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. He-Man live action coming to Netflix. What do you think of the stuff that's already out, the animated stuff, and what do you think of the idea of everybody that they've got coming in? I already drew a blank on the kid's name. Kyle Allen, who. Whatever. Just,
man with 2 first names. Ha
man with 2 first names. Go
man with 2 brains.
Good movie. Go
Martin,
in the comments
very
below.
good
Let us know what you guys think. And Lady Cora, what's the next thing we're going to be talking about today?
Well, the 10th installment of Universal's Fast and Furious action movie series is getting an infusion of muscle. Jason Momoa is in, or should we say hair, is in final negotiations to join Vin Diesel and the rest of the starry ensemble cast in what is being called Fast and Furious 10 as a working title. While plot details are being muffled, the Aquaman actor could be one of the film's villains, which I would prefer. He doesn't always have to be the good guy. Jeremy, what do you think of the prospects of Momoa joining the franchise?
See, you didn't ask me how I felt about the franchise. I don't care. Next.
Same. High five.
Yeah. Look, I mean, like, I want to believe in some weird, like, vicarious whatevers that, like, Jason Momoa is, like, a bro of mine. And I just want to be like, bro, what are you doing?
Hi.
Because I seriously, I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, I feel like you're above this.
Oh, you want to set him straight and tell him don't go down this path. You don't want to be in this collector's addiction box set that's going to end up in the discount bin at Walmart, right?
You're the goddamn king of Atlantis, and like, I'm gonna tell you what, when the first time I saw him and this little, like, when they said they were making Aquaman and they had this little clip of this little, but a big fucking dude with his little hair pulled back and his beard, and he's got a fucking tomahawk and a beer in his hand. He's like, "Hey, I'm Jason Momoa. I like drinking beer and chucking tomahawks." He fucking throws it at the wall, and he's just like, "Fuck yeah, motherfucker!" And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's awesome." Like a cool dude. And then I'm like, "Yo, come on, you're just going downhill. You divorced your wife, and now you're doing Fast and the Furious. What are you doing? Please don't."
Maybe because he is divorced, he's doing it to get the girls.
Yeah, but wasn't that the point? Like, dude, you were in Game of Thrones. What? I don't know.
Corey in the chat, Fast and Furious 80 nursing home will never be the same.
Oh, they're gonna be up and down the goddamn fucking hallways and walkers and wheelchairs with nitrous on them and shit. Like, God.
I was just thinking that hooking nitrous up to those little scurry,
those
whatever the hell they
scooters.
are, little go-kart things they ride around Kroger.
Yeah, little scooter. Ah, fuck.
Terrible.
Like, man, if he's gonna be like a bad guy or something. See, I was like, yeah, you lost The Rock, but you got Jason Momoa. I'm like, yeah, but what are we still doing? I think that's my overarching argument. What are we doing? Fuck, if we, you know what? Instead of cars in space, let's put cars underwater so we can make Aquaman jokes all day. That's where they're gonna find Jason Momoa. He's just gonna be underwater, and the cars are gonna be driving around Atlantis.
Yeah, pretty much.
I hope one of them runs over Amber Heard. I don't know. That'll be funny. That'll be where it's gonna go. Watch. Look, like I said, that's why you have me here. I saw Pete Davidson get shot in the face in Suicide Squad, and I couldn't have been happier. If you just run Amber Heard over with a fucking car, I could die a happy man. Oh my God,
Rachel, what are you doing? You gotta smack him over the head a little bit for me, Rachel.
Oh, you agree with me? You're gonna hear it in a couple seconds.
Look, I am a firm believer that this franchise died with Paul Walker, or at least it should have.
Yeah.
For some reason,
it did.
Look, from Vin Diesel's perspective, I get it. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened to his career. I mean, with the exception maybe of being discovered by Spielberg and put in Saving Private Ryan, it's probably the most significant thing that's happened to his career. But it's like, dude, at some point, I mean,
The Pacifier.
Yeah,
good movie.
Sure, biggest movie of his career. But
I said it was a good movie. I didn't say it was the biggest.
Whatever. Good's a stretch. It's good for those kinds of movies.
But
I was a child. Fuck you when it came out.
But look, he's tried to start different like Triple X. He kind of screwed that one over, I think. That could have been fun. I actually liked the first Triple X film. I think it's fun.
I liked him in that one where he had the funny eyes and he was on a planet somewhere, and he had to wear goggles.
And that's the other one.
Riddick.
Riddick. Chronicles of Riddick.
Riddick movies were fucking
He tried
awesome.
really hard to make that a franchise, and it just never really took off. And then
he did Bloodshot. That was okay.
Bloodshot was supposed to be a franchise, and that movie just...
It was okay.
Well, you know what, though? I have to give him a little bit of a pass on that, because wasn't Bloodshot one of those movies that got absolutely blown away by the pandemic? I mean, it was supposed to release, like, right as they started closing theaters.
I think it may have, and to be fair...
Yeah, I think they ended up just dumping it on streaming, because they were like, we don't really know what's going on, so we're just going to put it on streaming. And so,
I think
I'll give him a bit of a flyer on that one because it was kind of a victim of circumstance. So I won't hold that against him. But I mean, he's tried to make some other franchises, and outside of this one, he just hasn't really had a lot work out. So I mean, I get why he wants to hold on to this so bad, but at the same time, it's like, dude, 10 films. I mean, it's like he thinks this is going to be Marvel. Like, we're just going to keep making these movies, they're going to keep coming to see him. It's like, yeah, but you're not really Marvel, you're getting ridiculous. We all know what we're getting with Marvel. We're getting the superheroes, and we're kind of like turning off our brains and just letting it wash over us a bit. But it's like, you guys are driving cars around ice. You guys are fighting nuclear submarines with a fucking Humvee. It's like, come on, dude. This is kind of beyond that usual suspension of disbelief, and you just kind of look silly now. And to top it off, like I've said 100 times, the first movie was by far the best film in the franchise. It was grounded in who they really are. Somehow these guys became James Bond, and that makes no sense to me at all.
Do you know what's so funny? You said that. I was talking to someone before this, and I was like, "This franchise is just not James Bond." It's so fucking funny you said that.
Yeah, it's
fuck it.
And here's
put Daniel Craig in the next movie as a joke.
Yeah. You're like, I'm the new Bond now. 007
right.
Family. Family. Always family. But look,
you know what 007 means.
Yeah, but the other... Look, there's two things about this that stand out to me. One is, after that whole debacle of publicly trying to shame Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to come back to the franchise, I think he needs to save a little face, and getting somebody who's who's the brand like Momoa would probably go a long way towards that. The other thing that gets me is, he's said it 100 times that Fast and the Furious 10, whatever they end up calling it, is going to be he said that it's going to be the last one in the series. But he's also said, after I think the 8th one, that he thought he might like to go to 11, 12, or 13. So I mean, it's like, if this is supposed to be the last one, does Momoa really want to bother? Because he's in demand right now. Aquaman's going to be coming out at some point in the next year. He's obviously going to be doing Aquaman in at least one more film, probably 2, because I think they're probably getting ready to try some more Justice League stuff eventually. I mean, he's got other things that he's doing that have actually been really successful. Why?
Don't ruin this for yourself, is what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Would he want to attach himself to something that's wrapping up now? I mean, look, a paycheck's a paycheck, and let's face it, they're going to back the Brinks truck up to his front door for this one. But I mean, do you really want to just pop in there and be the guy who took over for Dwayne Johnson? I mean, I don't know. That's just my thoughts on the whole thing. Jeremy, what do you think? Do you think he's going to bother?
Well, because I hate to say that there's probably going to be more fucking movies, so, I mean, get 1 or 2 more squeezed out or whatever, but I don't know. I'm trying to think of a situation where something like that, like, works. You introduce somebody in the last bit, and it's just like, well, why, though? Like, I mean, the first situation comes to my mind, it's like, hey, when you play Far Cry 3, you got the guy Voss. He's the main bad guy. You spend the whole game tiptoeing with this guy, trying to get him. You get to the big climax at the end, you fucking kill him, and then for the last, 20 minutes of the game, like, hey, here's this other bad guy. Here. He's the main bad guy now. I'm like, who? I don't care. What? Why? I mean, it just throws the whole fucking thing off. Like, I didn't really care that there was some other bad guy. He didn't have the same gravitas as, the main body of who the fuck you're dealing with the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, Cora, do you even really pay attention to this franchise anymore? I mean, after about the 3rd one, I kind of just...
I think I watched I know I watched the first one, fucking loved it. All I'm going to say is tuna sandwich.
It's terrible.
Shut up, Jeremy.
You said it, not me.
I think I may have seen the 2nd and 3rd one, but I honestly have no recollection of the plots except for the fast cars. The rest I did not see. Once I think I was tempted to get caught up, but then when it was something about Tyrese, and I'm like, nah. Like, you're bringing in music rap star, wannabe rap star actors. Like, come on. No offense to
come
Tyrese,
on.
but it's like it's not about the cars.
Ludacris is like probably one of the better characters too, though. You gotta admit.
Okay, he's different. He can actually fucking act.
Well,
Okay.
I
Well, I
like
know.
the relationship between some of the characters. It's like Ludacris and Tyrese's
Yeah, it's called
characters
family.
are fun to watch. But honestly, it's like it's gotten to the point where I enjoy seeing all these people on screen doing it until Vin Diesel opens his fucking mouth, and then I'm like, It's like it was like Paul Walker gave him the balance, and now without Paul Walker, unfortunately, it's like there's not really much to balance out his whatever you want to call it, his fucking overdose of testosterone or whatever the hell he's doing. There's no balance to that. I don't know. I can't really dig it. But as of right now, the movie is set for a May 19th, 2020 release. Whatever.
2020?
Sorry, 2023. Yeah, 2023.
Oh, damn, did I
sorry.
miss the last Fast and Furious
Oh,
movie?
no.
Fuck.
You know, that might be how it goes, because this movie didn't do well. I mean despite the fact that it was opening still during the pandemic aside, it's like even people who are fans of the franchise, like big hardcore fans, are like, this movie wasn't really all that good. And I gotta be honest, I watched probably the first 45 minutes of it on a flight back from Houston in December. And I was like, I'm glad it was free to watch this on the plane, because it was like, whatever. It's like, I got to that part, that ridiculous part where they swung the car across the fucking whatever off the mountain on that rope. And I was like, thank God my plane's landing in 15 minutes. I'm just done. I can't. Now, and I'll watch the rest of it when it pops up for free on a streaming service somewhere. But I'm like, other than that, I'm not really running to find this movie anywhere. I'm not going to pay for it. That's for damn sure. I just can't deal with this franchise anymore. It's gotten too ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes.
I'll take a certain amount of bullshit for the payoff in a movie. I mean, it's like the Expendables films. I said it before, there's no pretending what these films are, and I think one of the best things that Sylvester Stallone does with those films is he doesn't pretend like they're Oscar worthy. He doesn't pretend like they're Dr. Zhivago or one of these great pictures in history. He's like, it's explosions. It's not
Citizen Kane.
Yeah, it's a lot of buddy explosions, one-liners, guys farting around and having fun, and there's just enough story to call it a movie. That's all it needs to be. And he doesn't pretend like it's anything more than that. And I think that's why those movies have been successful. Is people are just like, yeah, we know what it is. We're going to enjoy it. But this is quickly getting to that point. And I think that people like Vin Diesel and Justin Lin are thinking like, oh, we're making great cinema here. No. You're making like very one-note jokes. It's just the one-note joke that a lot of hapless people are they're almost addicted to it. They're almost addicted to going and seeing Vin Diesel do all this shit. And to top it off, one of the things I've realized is, I'll go back to this picture real quick. Vin Diesel looks fucking small compared to Jason Momoa. And he looks fucking small compared to The Rock. I was like,
yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, I'm not saying he's out of shape by any means, but I'm like, dude, I barely believe that he could win a fist fight with The Rock. I really don't think that Jason Momoa and him are going to like throw hands and it's going to look like he can hold his own. You know what I mean?
Who knows?
But whatever. Anyway, go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think. Do you give a rat's ass about Fast and Furious 10? Do you give a rat's ass that Jason Momoa...
He uses the Fast and Furious movies to put him to sleep. And I've done that on vacation before. It was playing on one of the hotel cable channels. I was asleep within 15 minutes. It's fucking perfect for that.
You know what? Look at the two of them. Since we don't have The Rock anymore, maybe just Momoa now can just tell Vin Diesel to hide his big ass forehead. Because he's fucking bald. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, but go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Fast and Furious 10. Are you excited? Do you think Jason Momoa is going to be the spark that reignites us for 17 more Fast and Furious films like The Rock did so many years ago? Go down in the comments below and let us know. I want to remind you guys before we move forward with our next story, we do have a Discord. I don't have the image to put up here right now, but the link is in the description below. Movie talk continues, spoiler talk, all of our opinions on movies and stuff like that is going on Discord. Just follow the link below and we can keep the movie talk going all the time. Lady Cora, what is the next topic we're talking about today?
Okay, somewhere Tommy NC 2010 is having an orgasm because Tom Phillips' 2019 DC movie Joker was a huge success. Not only did it make more than $1 billion at the global box office, but it was nominated for 11 Oscars, winning 2, including Best Actor for star Joaquin Phoenix. Fantastic actor. It's hardly surprising then that studio Warner Brothers let slip to the Hollywood Reporter that a sequel is in development, with Phillips returning and Phoenix back in the main character. By the way, that has not been truly confirmed according to the article you sent me, Frank. They're hoping he is. I think there's something contractually, maybe. I don't know. Frank, what do you think of the sequel idea and if it's going to happen?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because one of the reasons why Joaquin Phoenix ended up not playing Doctor Strange in the MCU is that he's not big on going back to franchises for sequels. And he famously did not want to sign a 5-6 picture long deal with Marvel. And they had only signed him for, I think, the one, when they were like, you know what, we're going to go ahead and push Doctor Strange back, and we're going to get the guy we first wanted to be in it, who was Benedict Cumberbatch, and I'm so very glad that they did. Not that I don't think Joaquin Phoenix would have been interesting in the role, but because I just think Benedict Cumberbatch is better. But I'm on the fence. I really like the movie Joker. I think it was not a good comic book movie. It was a great character study, but I don't think it was a great comic book movie. And I think that even they tried to, as much as they were trying to tell this story about this guy Arthur, who was kind of mentally unbalanced and always kind of on the verge of losing his mind, he gets pushed over the line by just the shitty world that he lives in, his environment. It's like, I think they still tried to run back to the comic book roots to try to remind you guys a couple of times that, yes, this guy is connected to Batman. The whole scene with the young Bruce Wayne at the fence, when everything's popping off at the end of the movie, you see Bruce and his parents walking to the alley and some asshole walking in behind him. We all know where that goes. I thought it was a great character study, but I thought it was also a great one-off. I don't know that you're going to recapture that again. Now, I think it was kind of a perfect storm of things for the Joker. You had Joaquin Phoenix, you had a great director, you had a really cool story and a way different look at a character that is beloved by a lot of people. I thought it worked out great. I don't know if a sequel works the same. And to top it off, if you know how Joker ends, I don't know where you go from there without connecting him more to trying to connect him more to Batman. I mean, it was an interesting story in and of itself, but I don't know how you sequelize this and kind of have the same narrative success that you had in the first one. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think?
Well, I just want to quote the meme. At the end of the movie, it's just like, you wouldn't get it. Just taking a big drag of a cigarette, you wouldn't get it.
Is that the line you would have put on the board behind you if you had been home?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay.
I'm trying to think of a few things, but I didn't think too hard because I knew I wasn't even going to attempt to get my car out of the snow. Once it parked, I tried going forward and backward about 7 times, and it was committed, and it wasn't going anywhere. So. It's funny because I did.
I almost got stuck in the street in front of my house. So I was like, please let me get up this damn driveway.
Right, that's the worst. I mean, I parked, and then I tried to flatten the snow out a little bit, then I just got stuck into a little bit of I was luckily already kind of in a nice spot, but I couldn't move, so I'm not even gonna try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. I mean, as a one-off movie, it was this weird visceral experience. It's just deep. It's the way it was shot, the tone it had, the fucking. It is kind of like I guess a little bit of Scorsese-esque, slow burn of it gets that. I mean, when you get to that point, man, you get what you fucking deserve. Holy shit, it pops off. And then, it's the whole cataclysm for the reason that, hey, look who's walking down the wrong alley. Well, we know how that goes, like you said. I don't know where else you'd go other than making this now into a connected, comic book story. And I mean, I will say it is actually a comic book story because it's this. They're doing the storyline of the One Bad Day. There's a storyline with the Joker that's you're never more than one bad day away from fucking snapping completely. I think that was the thing. It's like the whole world just shits on him so much, and he only could take it so far. until you get what you deserve. Boom. That's what I like, and that's why I'm like, I'm glad we told that story finally, and this is the way we did it. And I think it's like you did capture that lightning in a bottle, and I like this movie for what it is as a whole. But and I know we didn't make this connected to the DCEU as a whole, because we got even more so now, because now we got, I don't know what the fuck Ben Affleck's doing anymore, and now we got Robert Pattinson. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I
don't think it's necessary, really.
Yeah, I get frustrated sometimes with Hollywood's weird need to sequelize their successful stuff. Sometimes a movie just stands on its own.
Yeah.
And sure, some sequels are good. Terminator 2, Aliens.
Shrek 2.
And they were the sequels to movies that themselves were very, very good. But it's like this one, it's like you can't paint a sequel to the Mona Lisa. You can't paint a sequel to Van Gogh's Starry Night. It's never going to compare. I mean, to me, that's what this movie was. Like I said, not a great comic book movie, but an insane character study. I mean, just to watch, I felt for Arthur Fleck as I was watching this movie. It's like I'm looking at his life, and I'm like, Jesus, I feel for the Joker for the first time ever. It's like I'd always thought that the Joker was just some weird guy who was, giving Batman hell and murdering people and, doing stupid stuff and painting his face like an idiot. But it's like I got a different look at this character through this movie, and not just about the crazy guy who does all this shit, but about why he got to where he is. And I Jeremy, you and I have talked a couple of times, I think on air and off, about how one of the cool things about the Joker character is that there is no rhyme or reason as to why he's the way he is. He is just evil. Yeah. And him not having a backstory was one of the things that made his character more terrifying in some of the best iterations of him. And they kind of got away with giving him a little bit of a backstory in the Tim Burton film that came out back in 1989. But yeah. But this one it did manage to give him an origin story, like someone just mentioned in the chat. He said, Corey Warbridge said, it's an origin movie. There should not be a second. I'm digging that. I like the fact that they managed to make an origin for the Joker work, and it does. I mean, it helps me understand. I mean, like his crazy mother convincing him for years that he was the love child of Bruce Wayne, and spoiler alert, ended up not being true. That she had been lying to him for all these years about all kinds of shit, and it's like.
You mean Thomas Wayne?
Yeah, Thomas Wayne. I'm sorry, Thomas Wayne. But,
he was a kid. Like, wait.
Sorry, I don't talk about Thomas Wayne that much. It's like whenever I think Wayne, it's always Bruce.
There's a reason.
But
there's a reason, because they only see him for about 3 seconds and he dies. That's why.
Yeah. But I kind of like this being the way it is. Like I said, you can't paint a sequel to a masterpiece. And you went out there and did something that I didn't think could be done. And you gave me a masterpiece origin story of this insane character that is the best villain in comic book history, in my opinion. So
I was gonna say,
why fuck with it with a sequel?
Well, I was gonna say, I'm like, how do you? Well, I would say the one that followed Heath Ledger was, Jared Leto, but I'm like, yeah, well, we'll skip over that one. So that's where your bar's set, and I'm like, you know what, this hits up there with that bar. I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say, and to quote the late great Heath Ledger, he's like, I'm like a dog chasing cars. I don't know what to do if I just caught it. I just do things. You know what I mean? I love that line. Because he's like, I just do stuff, man. Do I look like a guy with a plan? That's what makes him terrifying, because you have no fucking idea. He doesn't even know.
Yeah.
After a certain point, he's just like, I'm just doing shit to do shit.
Yeah, Sith Negan says in the chat he wants a Street Fighter Mortal Kombat crossover and a G.I. Joe Transformer crossover. Actually, the G.I. Joe Transformer one almost happened.
Well, there's DC. Oh fuck! Not Mortal Kombat. What is it? There's that fighting game. It's DC versus somebody. It's not. It's not Soul Calibur, is it?
No, it's DC versus DC versus Mortal. Was it Mortal Kombat? Or Street Fighter?
No.
I think it was DC versus Street. I don't know. I don't remember. In video games, it all works.
Fuck! What was it?
I don't know. I don't remember. I know what you're talking about.
There is Injustice, but I mean that's not what I'm talking about. Fuck, it's gonna bug me now.
But,
hold on, Google search.
But yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't know that you can sequelize this and have it be as good. Now, the flip side of this, and I say this about remakes all the time, is if you go ahead and make it and it sucks, I've always got the original to go back and watch and enjoy. So, I mean, if you think you've got the story, then by all means make it. I mean, I trust the producers and the guys that made the original. If Joaquin Phoenix comes back, we know we're getting the same approach to the character, so great. And hopefully it'll be good.
Oh,
but
no, I'm dumb. It is Mortal Kombat. You're right. Mortal Kombat versus DC.
But
you're right.
I don't know. I just feel like you're better off leaving it where it is, especially when you consider that the DC cinematic universe is such a mess right now. I mean, you've got, like you said, you've got 9 different Batmans. There's 25 different storylines.
That's why I can't get into Batman.
Yeah,
I know you guys love it, but I
like,
can't because it's just like chaos.
That's the big mistake. And I think DC saw Fox get away with it for as long as they did with the X-Men stuff. That they were just kind of like, oh, we can go ahead and do it too. Have a bunch of different canons, a bunch of different storylines, a bunch of different actors playing the same character. It'll all be good because Fox got away with it. No, Fox didn't get away with it. Fox caught a lot of hell, and Fox made some pretty shitty X-Men movies in between the good ones. So, I mean, there's 2 or 3 that were fine. A couple of them are crap.
The silver lining was, establishing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, because those follow-up movies were fantastic.
But yeah,
because they kind of fixed it. That's why.
Yeah.
They tried to fix it with Days of Future Past. That's why I was excited about that.
Yeah,
and
Days of Future Past itself was a great movie.
You can't go wrong with Patrick Stewart and that Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah, with those two, it's
Captain Picard. Make it so.
But I don't know. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. Are you guys ready to see Joker 2? Do you want to see it? What do you think is going to happen? I mean, what could possibly happen to Arthur Fleck's character now that we haven't seen already? Because like I said, I think we saw his descent into the madness that he would become with the Joker. So it's like there's not really more of that story to tell. If you're gonna, the natural progression would be him starting his crime syndicate and being the Joker that we know from the comic books and so many of the movies. So I don't know that that's going to be the same movie. It's going to hit the same way. I don't think you can do that and tell the story about his psychosis, about whatever the hell's wrong with him mentally. I just don't think you can do it. But if you got in the comments below, let us know what you guys think. And Lady Cora, what's the next story we're talking about today?
Well, before we get to the meat and potatoes of the show, we have some sad news that you may have heard. Howard Hesseman, part of the ensemble that made WKRP in Cincinnati a television staple, died Saturday at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in LA from complications following colon surgery. In addition to WKRP in Cincinnati, Hesseman played Captain Pete Lassard in Police Academy 2, their first assignment. Oh, Lassard. I'm blaming it on the cold. Sam Royer on One Day at a Time. And this is where I knew him from. And school teacher Charlie Moore on Head of the Class. Frank, what are some of your memories of Hesseman?
All those things, for one. Look, the thing that stood out to me most and why this kind of slapped me in the face when I read it was because I had a teacher in junior high school named Leo Lipinski. And we always called him Mr. Lips. And we always thought it was funny because as Head of the Class was coming on TV is when about the time I was in his class. And he was, with the exception of having darker hair, was a dead fucking ringer for Howard Hesseman and Head of the Class. And honestly, the same guys. Kind of a hippie, one of the good kind of liberals that existed in the 80s. I mean, he's just one of those guys. And so I instantly attached myself to Head of the Class. And me and my friends would watch that show, and we would like make comparisons between this guy and Mr. Lips. It was the craziest shit. The resemblance between these two was uncanny. But I mean, before that, and and this is where I'll do my old man get off my lawn moment, is I remember watching WKRP in Cincinnati in the early 80s as I was a young child, kind of coming into my own, figuring out what I liked about TV and movies and stuff like that. And for those of you who have not seen the whole Turkey Drop episode, treat yourself. I mean, it is damn funny. And that show was one of the it was a transitional period for sitcoms in television, because you had the stuff like Leave It to Beaver and I Love Lucy in the 50s and 60s. And in the 70s, as society started to make this weird turn, sexual revolution, the women's lib, all these things that were actually very serious, but you could still make fun of them in like a sitcom light. This was one of the shows that would kind of start to really touch on those things in a entertaining, comedic kind of way, and make it a little bit easier to maybe form an opinion about these things and maybe learn more about these things. And on top of that, it was people like was it Mike Reed, the black guy, Lonnie Anderson. It's like this was like the really big things that got these guys out there in television in the late 70s and early 80s. So I mean, yeah, this guy was somebody I had watched forever, and I swear to God, one of the funniest scenes in any Police Academy movie is when his character meets his big brother, who is the commandant of the police academy, and he gives him a fish for his birthday, which it wasn't even his birthday, which is kind of part of the gag. But they meet at one of those Chinese restaurants where they cook the food in front of you on the grill. And his brother sits it down and they're talking, and he just kind of moves it over and doesn't realize he moves it over onto the grill. So him and his brother have this conversation, and then his brother leaves, and he turns around to look back at the grill, and he looks down at the fish, and the water's boiling, and the fish is obviously dead. And he says, "Hey," the cook goes, "What?" He goes, "This fish is boiling." And the Chinese cook looks at him and goes, "What? You want stir fry?" And I was like, that's like one of the funniest fucking scenes in all of the Police Academy movies to me. I still laugh at that scene to this day. I just laugh balls thinking about it. But I mean, Howard Hesseman, I mean, it was so much more than just what most people know from him on TV. He was actually what was he? I'm drawing a blank on the name. I grew up near San Francisco, so I remember the name. The Committee was a comedy troupe that was born in San Francisco, and he was a part of that back in the *60s. And he actually got his start playing small roles on things like, he was on a Dick Cavett show doing stuff, but he also played in Dragnet in 1968. He was on an episode of that. He was also on the Andy Griffith Show and the Bob Newhart Show. So I mean, this guy was on some of the funniest shit that's ever been on television.
Bob Newhart Show, man.
Yeah, and that's another show that my grandma watched when I was a kid, but I would laugh my balls off at it because it was just funny.
Very best series ending ever.
Yeah.
The whole thing was a dream.
Yes, a lot of people think that the final episode of that series is one of the best things that's ever been on TV. But
yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's very, very sad that he had passed away. And all I say is, you know what, take an opportunity to go back. I've been trying to say it for most of the pandemic with movies not coming out. Take a minute to go back and see stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s. Expose yourself to a different generation of things, and you will be wildly entertained by some of the stuff that you find. Go back and find some Howard Hesseman
have cell phones. They're not on their cell phones all the time on the shows.
I'm telling you. Look, I think that the No Laughing episode of Beavis and Butthead and the Turkey Drop episode of WKRP in Cincinnati is some of the funniest shit that has ever been put on TV. Like, just go watch. There's like a 5 or 6 minute clip of the actual Turkey Drop when they would do it in the episode. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's got something like 7 or 8 million views. It's absolutely hilarious. And he is just funny as hell in the show. So yeah, it's very, very sad. I mean, there's a whole generation of great comedians and great actors and entertainers that is slowly fading away. So I implore you folks, just go watch some older stuff, and take some of this stuff in before it's too late. I don't know, Cora, you're closer to my age than Jeremy for sure. I mean, do you have any memories of Howard Hesseman?
I loved Head of the Class. I watched every episode. I was sitting in my living room like you, watching every week. I think it was on Tuesdays. I could be wrong.
I forget. It was so long ago. I forget.
He was the teacher everybody wanted to have. That and Night Court, those two shows were like some of my faves.
On that note,
an ensemble cast.
On that note, I have been frustrated as shit that I can't find Night Court on any of the streaming services. And
have you looked on eBay for it on disc?
I was about to. I'm not really into the physical media anymore. There's only a few things.
You might have to be my friend for this.
But they actually just opened it up on Amazon. It's free with ads. So what I'll do late at night, if I'm typing away or doing whatever on my iPad or screwing around doing stuff for here, is I'll put it on my TV, and I'll just let it play, and I'll just listen to it in the background. Even if you're
Prime, you still have to watch the ads.
Yeah, it's technically on IMDb TV, so it's free with ads, but I really don't care as long as it's free. I was getting really, really frustrated that it wasn't out on one of the streaming services, especially the Peacock, because it was an NBC show anyway. I'm like, why the hell is this thing not on the Peacock network thing?
Let's not get started on stupid contractual things about shows on this and that.
Well, I'm thinking they're probably going ahead and putting it out for free with ads now because, we talked a few months ago about the reboot series that's coming up with the girl that was in The Big Bang Theory. So I think maybe that's a little bit of the marketing push that's getting ready to start. So it's out there free now. Let some people watch it, and then we're going to drop it this spring. But yeah, I'm very, very glad about that. But yeah, Head of the Class. Sorry, I got distracted there for a minute.
Oh, that's all I was gonna say. I loved it. Didn't he always wear like he was just super chill? It reminded me of that movie from the 70s or 80s where Mark Harmon played the summer school teacher.
I love that
Where
movie.
I know. I mean, it just had that kind of vibe. And when you're a kid watching shows about school, kind of, you connect with it. So I did. Mind you, I was a little young compared to the high school age, I think.
You know what? One of the things that always stood out to me about that show too was the way he walked. It's like that 70s kind of like
Yeah.
hippie, peace-loving guy. They had that weird way of walking. It was kind of this weird bounce, like they were walking to their
Weren't
own
they all
beat.
wearing like heeled heavy boots?
Or like bell bottoms and like flowered button-down shirts and shit.
Yeah.
That's how he would walk in all these TV shows. And I always just kind of for some reason that's how I always remembered him, with like walking into the class. Howard Hesseman did. He would, even if his hands were like full of books, he had that weird like bounce. He would kind of like, he wouldn't like walk as much as he would swing one leg forward than the other. I mean, if you go back and watch any TV show from the 70s, you'll know what kind of walk I'm talking about. But that's the one thing that always jumped out at me about him, is when he would walk into the scenes. That was the walk that he would have. And my teacher, Mr. Lips from junior high, had the same walk. That was one of the things that we always thought was insane. Like there was so many similarities between this character and this guy that we knew that we were just blown away. But yeah, I mean, go find some Howard Hesseman stuff. Go watch WKRP in Cincinnati. He actually was also in the new WKRP in Cincinnati. It was a TV show that lasted for about a year or so, like in the early 90s. But I think by then the tastes were kind of changing, and maybe WKRP, kind of the storyline was just kind of lost to time. Like whatever the allure was lost to time. I know he was actually in all of that show, and I think he directed a few episodes. He directed some other stuff too on TV. But I know his last credited role was that TV show off the boat, or Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah, Fresh Off the Boat. I saw that in 2017.
Yeah, that was his last thing, and I haven't seen that episode. I've watched a few episodes here and there. I think it's funny, but I haven't really sat down to watch the entire series. I'm gonna have to go back and find the episode that he's in and watch it just to see him again. But yeah, he was tremendously funny. So if you guys get a chance, definitely go back and look at some stuff from Howard Hesseman. He was just damn funny. So go down below in the comments and let us know if you guys even have any memories. This was a long time ago. And yes, I'm an old man, so I remember a lot of the stuff from the late 70s and early 80s. Go in the comments below, let us know if you guys have any memories of the great comedian Howard Hesseman. And Lady Cora, what's the next thing we're going to be talking about today?
Oh, before I get to that, did you want to mention what Jeremy put in our little thing about the Alien TV show on Hulu, or no?
Not right now. I haven't had a chance to look it up yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to skip ahead. We're going to get to the Book of Boba Fett, episode 6, which we got this week. And they even sprinkled in a little bit of the title character this time. But while the episode did a little more than the last to push the series forward, we did get to see fan favorite Grogu, as well as significant amount of his Jedi training with Luke Skywalker. Jeremy, I'm sure you have plenty to say, so let's have it.
No more than Boba Fett had to say.
I can hear you.
Yeah, you know.
Now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can speak up or move the mic closer. You're muffled a little bit, Jeremy.
For fuck's sake. I think I know what happened. Give me 1 second.
Well, while you're doing that, a good friend of mine was watching this. I haven't seen it, and said I would get brownie points if I mentioned Ice Cream Maker. Some reference to a character.
I mean, okay. Cool. Good for you. I'm kidding. That is actually, if it was there, I totally missed it. That's kind of awesome.
Well, there you go.
I don't know what we're talking about the Ice Cream Maker dude, like it's from Empire. There's a dude, I don't know if he's running the opposite way, but it's like when they're evacuating Cloud City, he runs by, like Lando and Leia, they all run by, and then you see this guy running with something in his. It's a whole thing. Like, he's a whole developed character, apparently. You even have, like, action figures of him. He's carrying something. It looks like it's something important, like a canister or some bullshit. And it looks like an ice cream maker. It's like that's what it is. I don't know. It's weird. If it was hidden somewhere, cool. I don't even know what we're talking about. If someone said it.
Was.
Okay, cool. I hope I sound better. Hopefully I fixed what I did. Okay. Well, yeah, I think we've already downgraded this from Book of Boba Fett to pamphlet of Boba Fett, but I think this is more like a leaflet of Boba Fett. This is starting to piss me off a little bit. I think I said when I shared it, I think I get the picture of you guys like, oh my god, breaking news, guys! Boba Fett's gonna make a cameo appearance in the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, and I'm like, seriously, I was like, I would love to believe that this is like a really deep-rooted, hilarious joke that, you know, that's how he started out in the original trilogy. We saw him like a few times, and he had like 3 speaking lines. And he became like the coolest, most badass fucking character. Had his whole mythos like, you know, built up to how this first like 2 episodes did. And we're on 6 now, whatever. And then, you know, that's what happens in this episode. I'm like, I would love to believe that you're that smart that that's the joke, but I don't think it is. Because I feel like we're watching season 3 of Mandalorian, and I think we even just caught a little bit of season 1 of Ahsoka. Like, what the fuck was... As much as I... Look, that is the setup for that. As much as I love... I'm telling you what, I love seeing this. I want to see this. This is cool as shit. I love seeing these characters... I love seeing these characters together and all on screen and all this shit. It's awesome. It's fan service. But I think we seriously stopped. We stopped right at the halfway mark. It was like 20-some minutes in. There was like 20 left. And I'm like, are we going to do anything with Boba Fett? Like, what are we... Huh? What the fuck, man?
Well,
do you have like a timer, a stopwatch, like waiting to see how far into an episode before?
No, we just flicked my PlayStation up to see what the time was running, and we're like, it was like 26 minutes in, and like, oh, we have like 20 minutes left. I'm like, yeah, there's like 7 minutes of fucking credits. Are we gonna see anything to do with anything? What?
There's not even any post-credit scenes either. I figured by now we
I keep looking.
Post-credit scenes.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm like, hey, maybe we could be like those guys that sued or trying to sue Amazon. And I paid $4 and I didn't get to see this person. I'm like, yeah, you lied to me in this fucking description. You're like, oh, mysterious mysteries of things that Boba Fett learns new information. I'm like, what the fuck did he learn? He didn't do anything. What? Was he in this episode?
Yes.
Yeah, seriously, I was like,
library for this entire episode, doing some research. What the hell? He's not even here.
He's downstairs petting his Rancor. Fucking, I don't know. Look. Oh, I'm really mad. I don't think it's gonna happen. Or not that I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, like, I don't think we're gonna.
How many episodes are left?
There's 1 left.
Is there?
I have to catch up in a week. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, I thought this was it too. I looked online. I kept looking and looking. Never keep saying no. There's 7. There's supposed to be 7. It's all 7. I'm like, okay.
You know what I'm doing this next week?
Because I'm like, if that was it, hello, did we do anything?
Yeah, I don't understand these last 2 episodes for Boba Fett. I mean, it's like the last.
We're world building, but I'm like, what does it have to do with him now?
But we've been building the world. We've already had 2 seasons of Mandalorian to build this world away from the Skywalkers. So why do you need to do more world building when you need to push the story along? It's like last week's episode. It's like, okay, whatever. You're trying to reestablish Mandalorian. It's been a while since we've seen Din Djarin in the suit on screen. So you want to remind people that he's still coming at some point, because at some point in the next few months we're getting the season 3 of the Mandalorian. I get it. But then you go into this, and it's like half the episode is him going to see Grogu, and I'm like, and then it's not even. And the last scene is even more relevant to the Mandalorian than it is to the Book of Boba Fett, because it, in a very emotional scene, it's like Luke Skywalker, Luke Skywalker's all over this episode. Luke Skywalker's been in more of the last 2 episodes than Boba Fett has. Is you see Luke Skywalker giving Grogu the choice: do you want to go this path, or do you want to continue your training and become a Jedi and let go of all your connections to whatever? And then we're just left with that choice. I'm like, that's way more significant for the Mandalorian than it is for Boba Fett. Why wouldn't you have something significant to Boba Fett in that last scene, since we're going into this episode where everything has to happen now in the next 45 minutes or an hour of this show, and you've spent the last 2 episodes off on a fucking fever dream doing whatever in a fairy tale. I don't even know what you've been doing. Not that I haven't enjoyed watching it because it's Mandalorian, it's Grogu. It's really cool to see more of Luke Skywalker. But I mean, at the same time, like, I'm here to see Boba Fett do his thing. If you want to show me this shit, just tack on a couple extra episodes of The Mandalorian. I'll be fine. I don't understand why they're walking away from their main character.
Or just keep it for those shows. I thought that was the point. Like, we know Mandalorian's coming back. We know he's gonna. I mean, if you want to, again, I get it. Star Wars is all one big universe. If you want to, have characters from other little shows or other parts of the galaxy dip in and out here and there, that's fine. But what are we doing? Like, like I said, I'm
writing,
I'm all for.
Or do you think they're trying to redirect somehow?
I'm trying to feel like what they're setting up. Then I'm like, we know these characters all exist. Like, now look, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not. No, I want to believe it's for something. I just don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what we're trying to do here.
I have a feeling next week you're going to be very angry that it was stupid as fuck.
I hope not. Look, like I said,
I'm telling you, I'm predicting it.
I will give it. I mean, I know we got to see Ahsoka again, which was fucking awesome. I already had that ruined for me like an hour before I watched the episode because I didn't. I mean, I opened TikTok and I was like, I didn't know what it was. Yeah, it was Ahsoka from the series, the animated series. Yeah, I didn't have the sound on, but I just saw the thing. It was like her. She like put her hand on top of R2. I'm like, oh, cool. And then it cut to Rosario Dawson putting her hand on top of R2. I'm like, wait, when the fuck did that happen? Oh fuck, damn it! Like, well, I just ruined the episode for myself. So I just stopped myself like, oh, when did that ever happen? I'm like, oh yeah, it's about to happen, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, I got a little giddy. I saw R2. Yeah, it was awesome. We see Luke's temple being built. I mean, I think they did a pretty damn good job actually this time of the. I thought they were just gonna do something else, but like no, I think they just de-aged Mark Hamill again, and actually that Uncanny Valley wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty damn good, I think. Like, I believe that's fucking post Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker. Really well done. He got a couple Empire pokes in there where he's riding with Grogu on his back, doing the front flips and shit, and
yeah, there was a lot of visual cues that were reminders of the original trilogy.
Yeah. They even had that little musical sting, that little, like, when Luke was looking at the sunset, it's him and Grogu looking off into that valley, and you got that, like, that little Star Wars-y theme playing. I'm like, okay, cool. And then, like, Ahsoka, I mean, I know the weight of the, she's like, oh, I'm a friend of the family. I'm like, that hurts, because I know what you mean. And then she's like, hey, I'm going to leave now. And he's like, where are you going? And I was like, to season 1. Like, so I was like, to her own show. Bye. Fucking Christ. Say hi to Obi-Wan for me. He's getting his, too. I don't know. Or say hi to Hayden Christensen, because you're going to see him soon, I would imagine. And I'm kind of like, wait, so now, story-wise, we're getting Luke's temple, which we all saw what happened to that. So I'm like, maybe I think choice-wise, I'm like,
Boba Fett, by the way.
yes, we're still not talking. I'm done talking about Boba Fett now. I'm sorry. I don't want to say I think you played yourself and you blew it, because I'm like, look, I was so excited for this. I was all for this, like, underworld mafia crime boss shit, and then I'm like, okay, well, now we're just playing with the other Star Wars figures. Like, come on, no one wants to play with Boba Fett now. Everyone wants to play with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. Now I think choice-wise, I want to know how he got Yoda's lightsaber. I mean, I again freaked out a little. I'm like, oh my god, it's Yoda's saber! Holy shit! How'd you get that? What? And then, of course, it was a cute little chainmail, which, I mean, that's the most adorable thing I've ever seen. But I'm like, wait, you still have to seriously write in the fact that I'm like, okay, how are you going to explain where the fuck has Grogu been? I'm like, I feel like that doesn't really make the choice as big as you think it is. I'm like, I bet you he's just going to take the chainmail and go back to season 3 with Mando, because I'm like, couldn't have been there, or he went somewhere else, or he got killed when the temple was gone.
Marvel time paradox. Oh, I'm sorry, we're crossing swords here. Sorry.
You might as well, because we're crossing all kinds of swords here. We're crossing blasters too. Look, can we talk about fucking Cad Bane for a second? Holy shit!
Dude, I love that. Look, you know what? As much hell as we're giving this series right now for not focusing on Boba Fett, there was actually some significant stuff that happened for the Boba Fett specific storyline. One was the bombing at the cantina at the end, the bombing of the bar, the nightclub thing. It's like, that's pretty significant.
Yeah, that kind of came and went. I was like, wait, so did we ever figure out what the fuck that was, or what kind of place it was? What? Gone now.
And Din Djarin, for his part in all this, was trying to recruit Timothy Olyphant's sheriff and his group of warriors that fought with him in the season 1? Was it season 1? That
I think it was with the dragon, yeah.
And that's what brings up the blue-face alien dressed like Doc Holliday. What's his name again, Jeremy? Help me out here.
It's Cad Bane.
Yeah, and that scene was something straight out of a fucking great western. I love that shit.
That was some Good, the Bad, and the Ugly bullshit.
Oh,
love
that
it.
was fantastic. I love that scene.
By the way, we need to do another Western episode. I'm overdue.
we might.
Right.
We might soon. But that.
No, as soon as I saw him walking up, I saw that hat and that coat. I'm like, I already know exactly who the fuck that is. Oh my god, we're doing this. So I'm like, I was gonna say this episode could have just been labeled Clone Wars: The Reunion, because we got fucking Ahsoka and now we got Cad Bane in here. I'm like, okay, cool, awesome, but I don't think Cobb Vanth died. It didn't really look. He didn't put 20 shots into him like he did his little twitchy Barney Fife deputy over there. He just kind of laid him out and then fucking emptied his gun into the other guy. But I'm like, okay. And he kind of stared at Cobb Vanth for a second. I'm like, no, I think he kind of got knocked on his ass. I don't think he died. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Cobb Vanth died either. I was going to ask you about that. I don't think he did.
I don't think so. And I know I'm kind of wondering what Bane's whole weigh-in of this is, like where he's at. Because he came to him and said, like, look, whatever's going on here, we'll match him as long as you stay out of this. I'm like, well, he is kind of, quote Obi-Wan, he is quite literally a very wretched high of a scum and villainy. So maybe he's with the Pike Syndicate. Maybe he's telling him, like, hey, I'll just be best in your best interest. I'll even pay you to stay out of this. I'm like, oh boy. And then, like I said, I almost expected the ratio of the screen to square down a little bit and like just get right up in his red eyes and right up in Timothy Olyphant's eyes and just, a little tumbleweed, and you hear the little Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme start playing, and I'm like, all right. I don't know. That was a cool setup, but again, I seriously, if you could ask me what the hell even happened with Boba Fett in this episode, I fucking couldn't tell you, and I don't even care to fucking go back and watch it.
Well, another
30 seconds he was in.
Another cool visual, though, that actually did happen that, actually dealt with Boba Fett and everything that's happening is when they're standing around that table, that little hologram table, and he's got the Black Wookiee guy. I can never pronounce his last name. Yeah, Chrysanthemum. He's got him. Unfortunately, the fucking Power Rangers on Vespas were there for some reason.
They came back.
I guess we're not done with them. But then you've got Mando that walks in. You've got Boba Fett. You've got Fennec Shand. They're starting to get together a group of badasses. And part of me was kind of looking at that, and I'm like, well, if you take away the Vespa squad, I wouldn't want to fuck with these guys. It's like I never.
However, they are outnumbered. They do need help.
Yeah, they need all the help they can get. But at that point, that's when Din Djarin decided to go and talk to Timothy Olyphant. So whatever. Hopefully, Timothy Olyphant, either him or some of his crew, is still going to show up. But yeah, I still don't understand. It was a great episode to watch. There was so much to enjoy.
Visually or
for so much Star Wars stuff, yeah. But I'm like, but
for the book of Boba Fett, again, it didn't really do. It did a little bit more than the last episode, but not much.
Here's hoping it all ties in next week.
And that's one of the things that gets me. It's like sometimes they'll make the last like the Disney Plus stuff for both Marvel and Star Wars. They'll make that last episode a bit on the long side to try to get everything together. I think the last episode for WandaVision was like an hour and like 5 minutes or something like that. It was much longer than the rest of them were. But it's like at this point you're going to have to make it a 2-hour long movie. Because you've spent the last 2 episodes giving us the Mandalorian. and you haven't done anything to kind of position these stories. And something that I had said about the Marvel stuff that's been on Disney Plus is towards the end of this season, they always have that one episode that's it's not as action packed as the rest of them, but there's some dialogue and some things that happen to kind of position all the final pieces.
Remember that one
towards
WandaVision one people hated and we liked because it had a lot of. Then all of a sudden it just ramped right up.
Yeah. And so it's like they haven't even done that. They're just like, everything's going, and then for 2 episodes, we're just going to ignore Boba Fett, and then we're just going to come back for this last episode and do Boba Fett. We're going to finalize everything. It's like, well, you're kind of missing some shit. I don't really get it. I don't understand why they're doing it. Narratively, it doesn't make any sense.
You can still do these cool-ass episodes. I'm like, you could have made... Again, we could have saved all this crap with Mando for the Mando season, and then, like, you could have made this whole... You could have opened up with that whole thing with Grogu and Luke, and then started it off with, then you could just see Ahsoka leaving, and we could have just been following her, and then go into her episodes. I'm like, you could have done it that way. I'm like, why are we just doing it all in this show? You think we're just not going to care, or we don't want to... Like, no, we'll watch them. Trust me. We're here for Boba Fett, and we're fucking... Where the fuck are you, man?
Yeah, I don't understand why they had to go so hard with the Din Djarin stuff. I don't know.
Because they know he's the best fucking character.
Well, right now, yeah, because they're kind of shitting on Boba Fett. I mean, the OG Mandalorian that we all know from the original trilogy. I mean, the fucking badass bounty hunter who caught fucking Han Solo and froze him in carbonite and delivered him to Jabba the Hutt. And you're shitting on his forehead.
Yeah.
You're basically ripping his helmet off and taking a giant dump right in it, and I'm not really with it. Like I said,
that's what I thought. I thought the point was to make him the badass that we all know he's supposed to be, and I'm like, well, now we're not. We started off in a little bit of a jog, kind of sprinted a little bit, and we fell on our fucking face. Like, hello.
Yeah, these episodes have been fun to watch, but they've not been good for Boba Fett. I just don't get it. I mean,
so is it safe to say this little series is something that you wouldn't even recommend me watch, or do you think I need to watch it once?
Well, I mean, watch it once. I mean, if you're a fan of Star Wars, watch it. There's all kinds of great stuff in here for Star Wars.
Oh yeah, like I said.
But I'm talking just narratively speaking for this book of Boba Fett, for this storyline that we're supposed to be experiencing throughout one series, this one season of this series. They've completely walked away from the entire point of the thing. So
the title should be the book of some Star Wars shit.
You know what? I've got it right here. You guys can see it. It's the book of Boba Mandalorian featuring Grogu. that's what it's been.
Amazing.
I mean, and what really gets me is a lot of people were kind of cool on it to begin with. And that was before these last 2 episodes. Now you got these last 2 episodes where they haven't even had Boba Fett in 10% of the last 2 episodes. It's like, what? I don't get it.
Someone needs to edit a picture of the title card from Solo, because it says Solo, a Star Wars story. We just need to call this a Star Wars story. Just edit everything out. Just put that little snippet there. Just put Star Wars, a Star Wars story.
Like, I don't
that's all this fucking is.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got some of these people from Clone Wars onto the big screen now, and well, I'd say big screen, but live action versions of them. Like I said, with Cad Bane and Ahsoka, but I'm kind of still just. I'm like, what am I doing?
I mean, it's one thing.
What would you have done differently?
Yeah,
I don't know. Made the fucking series about the guy whose name is the biggest part of that title.
I would not take Boba Fett out of the book of Boba Fett. I would leave Boba Fett in there as a character. That sounds makes sense.
Me too.
Well, I mean, I get it. Obviously, Cad Bane is going to be somebody that Boba Fett's going to run into at some point. But it's like, why do you...
He's a big bounty hunter, too, so I'm like, are they going to go toe-to-toe? That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't understand why you can't find a way to introduce these kids. Look, Mandalorian coming back into the mix made perfect sense. I mean, her going to him and saying, hey, Boba needs your help, and he says, okay, cool, I'm there. That makes sense. That entire episode being about him, that would have been a great first episode of season 3. I don't know why the hell I mean, minus, of course, him leaving to go help Boba Fett at the end. I don't understand why you would put that there. I mean, you're completely stopping your Boba Fett narrative to give us a sneak peek at what Mando's going to look like for Season 3. And then this next episode, you can introduce these characters in a lot of different ways. You don't have to have him roll up there and shoot up Timothy Olyphant's town. I mean, why not have him? Why not have him go toe to toe with either Mando or Boba Fett? And it's like nobody really wins, because it's like in episode 1 when fucking Liam Neeson first has his run in with fucking what's his name, red guy. Why am I drawing blanks?
Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul. It's like that fight didn't really have that fight didn't really have a conclusion. It was just a taste of what was to come. Why not have him step up against one of these Mandalorians and get into a scrap with one of them, and it turns into a big gunfight. A couple of buildings get blown up, some speeders get blasted, maybe a starship crashes into the sun, something wild, and that's just an indication of the craziness that's going to come in the last episode. I don't get it.
Like I said, I would have framed that whole thing with, like, the way I would have introduced these characters back into the show. I mean, we already know Mando, but I'm like, I didn't expect to fucking just see Cad Bane out of nowhere. I mean, like I said, with Mando, I'm like, you could have had him just whenever they're fighting this war against the Pike Syndicate, you could have had, we all know that sound of that Naboo Starfighter. If you would have saw that fucker roar across the sky, laying down, and you're like, oh, you see it finished the way it is, and you see Mando pop out of it and start gunslinging motherfuckers, I'm like, you'd be like, wait a minute, okay, holy shit, awesome, but how? Wait, what? Then you go into Season 3 and you're like, oh, that's what happened. I would have loved to have watched it then. Explain why he has this ship in the first place. Don't just blow the whole mystery out of the water and just with one whole episode. Same with Cad Bane. You could have had him just walk, like I said, you could have had him just spurs a jingle and jangle and blowing through town, fucking coming up on Boba Fett at the end of a fight and tips his little hat up and you see his face. You're like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Instead of him laying out Timothy Olyphant right in the middle of the street like some sort of punk, like, damn, he said, make my day, and he walked off. Like, what?
I didn't really... I don't know. There's just as much as it's odd because I've really enjoyed these last 2 episodes as a Star Wars fan, but for the Book of Boba Fett, they just don't work. I don't get why, but whatever.
I'm not Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni, but like, dude, what are you guys doing?
Yeah,
I want to believe in you. I really do. But
you know what though?
I'm not saying I'd go up and direct it.
Well, look, Favreau and Filoni have done a great job so far. So maybe we're going to watch this last episode of Boba Fett, or this next episode. If this is the last episode, I think it probably is. Maybe we're going to watch this last episode. It's all going to make sense. And they're just confusing the shit out of us right now. But when we're watching the end credits of the last episode, we're like, oh, okay, now I understand that decision.
It's going to
right now.
Yeah, to blow my mind.
Yeah, for right now, I'm just watching with a giant question mark hovering over my head. I just don't get it.
My mind, like I will gladly eat my own words if fucking something spectacular just happens all of a sudden.
Yeah,
I predict it's going to suck, and you're going to be very angry, Jeremy.
It could be episode 1. At the end of Fanboys, guys. What if the movie sucks? You know what I mean?
The movie sucks. Cora, have you ever seen the movie Fanboys?
No.
You need to.
I've heard of it.
You need to.
I understand. I went to high school. Boys like that.
It's good.
I was in high school when those movies came out.
Oh,
I mean, look at it from a perspective of a Star Wars fan. You'll appreciate it. It's fucking hilarious.
No, I love it because I was friends with them. So when those guys would be waiting in line at the movie theater to get tickets, I was baking them brownies. I was bringing them food so that when it came time to buy tickets,
so she's Kristen Bell's character.
They would give me a ticket. And so, yeah.
See, like I said, there is the one girl.
Yeah, I don't think that Cora's going to be flashing her sweater yams for a movie ticket, though. Cora, you got to see the movie.
Sweater yams.
I baked them fucking brownies. That was a lot.
Oh, Cora, you got to see the movie. It's fantastic stuff.
I will.
But go down in the comments below. Let us know what you guys think. Are you guys as confused as we are about the Book of Boba Fett and why we're not getting a whole lot of Boba Fett the last couple episodes? And what do you think the last episode is going to bring? How long do you think it's going to be? Is it going to be really insane? Are they going to pay off from some of the question marks that we have in the last couple episodes? I certainly
think of Jeremy screaming on the show, being very angry.
Yes, that would be fun.
I think I'd be more disappointed if we didn't at least see Danny Trejo one more time.
Yeah, and that's one of the things they could have put in there is like the training with the Rancor. Like that's significant.
You don't just introduce that and then be like, all right, well, cool, next. What? No, wait a minute. You just gave me a whole backstory that, like I said, Rancors are basically the fucking pit bulls of this goddamn universe. You're like, oh, they look all big and mean and scary and they fight. I'm like, yeah, but they're really sweet. They're really nice. They actually, they're very emotional creatures. I'm like, this guy, I mean, I don't know. I would just let Danny Trejo tell me whatever he wanted to tell me, and I believe him. If he just sat there and told me the lore of like a fucking Rancor, like, and speaks with a passion about these animals, I'd be like, all right, whatever, dude. Hell yeah. You teach me to fucking ride it, though? I don't know.
We did a TED talk from Danny Trejo in character talking about your Rancor, how to feed your Rancor,
how to train your Rancor,
how to train your Rancor. There it is, right there, Disney. Yeah. We just did it for you. Disney, Lucasfilm, we just did it for you. How to train your Rancor. There's the next animated film from Disney. I'm down. Let's do it.
There's your next Star Wars spinoff of Danny Trejo. How to train your Rancor.
Some animated joint about 30 minutes long, 2 or 3 episodes. How to train your Rancor. There it is. You're welcome, Disney.
Boom.
Send your royalty checks
to me,
Filoni. Truth. That would be fan-damn-tabulous. But anyway, go down in the comments below and let us know what you guys think about Book of Boba Fett and where it's all going to be going. Now, before we do step away, I do want to remind you guys of a couple of things. Number one is we are going to be doing a charity stream at some point. And if I'm pointing in the right direction, down there in the corner, you will see 500 subs equals a charity stream. We're at 316 as of today. Also, thank you to Lionel Arendonda, who I meant to shout out last week for subscribing, and I forgot. But thank you, Lionel, for subscribing to the channel. We hope you come back and you like what we see. Also, don't forget, if you want to stay deeply involved in the Star Wars universe, Rachel and Jeremy are building the Millennium Falcon out of Legos. 7,000 plus pieces. They just did their first video Tuesday, putting the base of the Millennium Falcon, the frame of it all together, talking about some cool stuff, just having some good general discussions. Go check them out. They're looking to do that every Tuesday night, so go check that out.
Question, Jeremy. Does Buttercup make appearances? I will if she's in the videos.
Since it's at my house and I still have an animal, I still have a cat, and she doesn't like anything else that exists that isn't her, so...
Tell you what, if you move it to Rachel's and she's in a mom...
Oh, no. You realize that motherfucker is like 30 pounds and it's 33 inches long. It's building and staying where the fuck it's at.
I'm just
it's not
fucking
going anywhere.
with you.
There's no way, dude. I couldn't pick that bitch up and run the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. It'd be over. I'd be
so you're not moving when this is all set up, so you can keep it there, right?
If I had to, yes, I'd have to move it. I'd have to get a box big enough for it, of course. But no, man, it's
how many pieces did you say that is again, Jeremy? Did you say it was 7,200 pieces?
7,541 now. Now that it's ingrained into my fucking skull. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I said, I guess if this is my little segue, yeah, you can catch us there on Tuesdays because, haha, I'm funny and I'm clever. It's just to hang out, just bullshit, talk about anything you want to, or, I know, and like we're just sad 5 hours of goddamn work. I mean, honestly, I think that first little haul was just kind of long, man. It was. Yeah, because bag 2, I think I was skipping through pages trying to see when the next thing was, and all of a sudden I saw bag 3. I was like, wait, when the fuck did I miss that? Like 2 pages for bag 2, so I don't know what happened there. That first marathon. So that's a new thing we got going, because that's maybe it will lead us up to the release of the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga game, which is coming out April 5th, which is a Tuesday. So that'll be a nice segue, and then we'll start streaming that, and that'll probably be more on my side on Twitch, since that's gaming, and that's more my thing. I'm on Twitter, so whatever. Love me or hate me, I'm there.
You're such an Eeyore. I'm on Twitter. Whatever.
Follow me on Twitter.
Oh, you gotta
Thanks for
put it, Jeremy. Me. I'm on Twitter.
Where I'm at.
I play video games.
My name's Jeremy.
Yeah, but like as soon as
I have to give you a merit award, Jeremy. You didn't talk about your balls this episode.
No, because every Tuesday I'm talking about my big package. It's the fucking Falcon now.
You just transferred it to another show. Fuck.
Yeah, I
You
did.
got me.
It's that big. It ain't a joke.
Oh my god.
I slapped that big bitch down on the table. That's exactly what's happening.
Oh boy.
And on that
So,
note, you can find the links to everything Jeremy's in.
So yeah, anyway. Right.
Follow Jeremy everywhere at Grim Tuesday 23 across all platforms. Go watch him suck at video games on his Twitch. And on Tuesdays, he'll be on here putting together the Millennium Falcon with Rachel. And just join him. Have conversations. Ask him questions about movies. Talk Star Wars. They were having some good conversations about conspiracy theories. They were just looking up and bullshit about all kinds of cool stuff. It was a fun little just kind of conversation session with those two as they were starting to put the frame together for the Millennium Falcon. And as for Lady Cora, where can the folks find you on the internet?
Nowhere. I'm mysterious.
She is the forever disembodied voice in the channel.
Yes.
But she's here doing stuff. And we will also be here doing some Downton Abbey talk in the lead up to the release of Downton Abbey, A New Era in 2075, whenever they decide to finally put it in theaters. I don't know. But as for me, you can find me here every Thursday talking about movies and stuff. You can find me over on the Derailed News and Podcast channel every Sunday at 9 talking about a bunch of stuff. We will be having the big stream in a couple weeks for the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, my 49ers will not be playing in it, but it was a good season nonetheless. For those of you wondering, I got both my AFC and NFC championships picks wrong. I predicted San Francisco against Kansas City, and I missed them both by this much. We were that close to having exactly that. But I will be probably, I don't even know who to root for. I kind of want the Bengals to win, but I kind of want Matt Stafford to get a ring and prove that he had wasted so much of his time in Detroit on a team that just didn't want to him. But I don't know. I'm just going to be watching as a fan of football probably in a couple weeks for the Super Bowl. As far as the Pro Bowl is concerned, I don't care. Neither does anybody else, because who the fuck watches the Pro Bowl anymore? We're not going to be doing much talk about that on either this channel or probably on Derailed. So, anyway, for my co-host, thank you so much for kicking ass as usual. Go check out some of the videos if you would like, and we'll see you guys later. Adios.